President Trump is heading to South Carolina today as he ramps up campaign events. And for more on this, we go live to One America's Daniel Baldwin, who is there in the ground in South Carolina. Good morning, Daniel. Thank you for joining us this morning. A huge crowd I see behind you there. Trump's campaign site says the event for today is sold out. You got there early, spoke with a lot of supporters there. What are some of the supporters saying so far?
Sonny, always great to chat with you. Yep, we spoke to a lot of people, some of whom were already lined up as early as last night for today's event here in Summerville, South Carolina. It's hot, but it's certainly not deterring any of the patriots who came out here to support the 45th president, who will be speaking at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific. A lot of these people are upset. They believe that America is going in the wrong direction. Obviously, President Trump always says we are a nation in decline, and that sentiment was shared by pretty much everyone who we spoke with. We actually spoke with a woman who said that her business closed recently under Biden's economic policies after flourishing under those of President Trump, and that's a big reason why she is here supporting the 45th president. And quite frankly, Sonny, we spoke to quite a few people who were previous Democrat voters who were flipped to the Republican Party because of President Trump and President Trump alone. So there's a lot of high energy and enthusiasm bubbling here in Summerville, South Carolina. Massive crowds that have been growing by the minute. People are excited to hear President Trump speak a little bit later today.
Yes, a lot of excitement growing there as supporters await President Trump's arrival. Now, the state's GOP chairman says South Carolina picks presidents. Why is it so important for a candidate to receive support there in the Palmetto State?
Well, South Carolina is obviously crucial because it can be a clinching state for the nomination for President of the United States. Obviously, it's a very early state in the presidential nominating process, but we saw Joe Biden really struggle in the Democrat process in 2020, and then he had a dominating win in South Carolina that really catapulted him towards the Democrat nomination for president in 2020. Very similar stuff in 2016 for President Trump. He lost Iowa to Ted Cruz, won New Hampshire, and then he won South Carolina in dominating fashion, and he was off to the races with no one likely to catch him. But polling shows that President Trump is very much the clear frontrunner, both nationally and statewide here in the Palmetto State. Real Clear Politics polling average shows him leading the competition here in South Carolina by 32%. A Fox Business poll shows him up by 28%, with former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley coming in second place with 18% of the vote. What's interesting is that Nikki Haley and Tim Scott, two people who hail from South Carolina, while some of them are polling relatively well, when I say relatively well, I mean in second place, third place, fourth place, President Trump still obviously having commanding leads. And that's because President Trump, a person who espouses loyalty and promotes loyalty among people, his base is incredibly loyal back to him. He claims that he's been loyal to other politicians. He's been loyal to the base. The base shows loyalty back to him. In an Emerson College poll focusing on Iowa, an interesting state, obviously the first state, shows President Trump with a commanding 35-point lead. But it also shows that more than 70% of the people who view President Trump as their first choice are unwilling to consider another candidate. Meanwhile, when you look at Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, high numbers of people who believe those candidates are their first choice are willing to move off them to another candidate if they could be swayed. That's a big reason why President Trump is likely the favorite in all of these, and why these other candidates would have such a difficult time prying off any votes from President Trump. It's the loyalty of his base to him and vice versa is something that's rarely seen in American politics, quite frankly, ever. So that loyalty is a key aspect as to why President Trump is so strong in these early states.
And Daniel, yes, you did mention those two South Carolina mainstays also in the race there, former Governor Nikki Haley as well as Senator Tim Scott. You mentioned Trump's loyalty there as why voters are backing him. What are some other reasons why those South Carolina voters are supporting President Trump?
We'd like to welcome you to our new home for uncensored news and hard-hitting talk shows. If you're tired of cable companies and social media giants chipping away at your most basic and important right, freedom of speech, by shadow banning, demonetizing, censoring, and policing every single one of your posts, then One America News on Locals is just what you've been looking for. Finally, you'll have the freedom to express your point of view and stay connected with like-minded fellow patriots. And the best part is, OAN on locals is only $5 a month. All of our credible, honest, unbiased reporting, ad-free talk shows, and exclusive content, all at the fraction of the cost of cable. So to watch, just click the join button to get the news you can't get anywhere else.